Hello everyone. In today's Vandal View, we will be addressing climate change. We will be talking about climate change and the mitigation strategies in the context of three countries, the US, India, and Brazil. But climate change is a unique issue, and it is important to remember that global climate change will affect all of Earth's population because it cannot stay a contained problem. Oftentimes, it is not the states causing greenhouse gas emissions and essentially climate change that feel its immediate effects. Climate change is an issue that threatens our current way of life like it has never been threatened before. Global climate change is the culprit behind increased natural disasters such as floods, droughts, typhoons, and hurricanes. A global rise in temperature is resulting in melting polar ice caps, rising sea levels, rising sea temperature, and consequently decreasing aquatic harvest yields, increasing droughts and causing decreased agricultural yields, which proves devastating in a time of exponential population growth. All of these effects are proved devastating to the human. Climate change is a direct result of greenhouse gases being emitted into the atmosphere. Human activities that emit greenhouse gases are energy production, transportation, deforestation, agriculture, manufacturing, and livestock production. We will address one of our respective countries' largest causes of greenhouse gas emissions and our best possible mitigation strategy. When Brazil started developing in the last 50 years, it came at a large cost to the Brazilian Amazon. The Amazon is an incredibly biodiverse ecosystem. It is estimated that more than half of the world's 10 million living continental species live in tropical rainforests. The Amazon is a massive carbon sink. About 20% of Earth's oxygen is produced in the Amazon. The natural products of the Amazon include ingredients used in 25% of Western pharmaceuticals. Rainforest cultivation for pastureland, agriculture, timber exports, mining, and hydroelectric dams in the last 50 years have resulted in the loss of about 20% of the forest. The past 50 years have proved very detrimental for the Brazilian rainforest, but things have the ability to turn around. What Brazil must do to help mitigate climate change is address the current rate of deforestation, set goals to lower it to a sustainable rate, and increase the regulation of forest use. President Da Silva has addressed this by creating the National Policy on Climate Change and pledging to reduce greenhouse gases by 36 to 38% of 1990 rates by 2020. Increased surveillance with the help of the National Institute for Space Research will be used to enforce regulations and cultivate land control and prosecute illegal poachers of the Amazon. The Brazilian government has recognized their role in mitigating global climate change and will continue dedication to lowering deforestation rates and persecuting illegal users of the rainforest.
India. In India, climate change presents itself in a variety of ways. One of the most overlooked and prominent are the methane emissions from livestock. The EPA's global anthropogenic emissions of non-CO2 greenhouse gases reported in 2005 that India's methane emissions ranked second in the world, second only to China. Authors from the World Watch Institute, Goodland and Anhang, concluded that over 51% of greenhouse gas emissions come from livestock. Their study takes into account not just the methane released directly from livestock, but also the deforestation necessary to make room for growing feed for livestock, methane manure from waste, as well as raising, processing, slaughtering, and transporting the livestock. This result displays a clear window into the damage livestock is inflicting on the atmosphere. In 2009, scientists at the Space Application Center in Ahmedabad, India, released the first pan-India livestock methane emission inventory, which figured 11.75 million metric tons per year. This number will increase as growing global population and increasing middle class will demand a higher consumption of dairy. Already, India has showed its potential for a massive increase. Between 1951 and 2007, India's livestock population increased by 81%. There was an increase of 28% in cattle, 153% in buffaloes, 82% in sheep, and 198% in goats. These results indicate, at a minimum, a continuous increase in livestock population in India. However, there are solutions that are extremely applicable to the issue that India imposes, one of which is changing feed of the livestock. Since much of the traditional animal feed in India is inefficient by lacking quality protein necessary for livestock, methane is therefore produced from their unhealthy diets through dung, urine, and even belching. The National Dairy Development Board of India have tested methane emission reduction in India through balanced feeding and breed improvement programs in 6 states, resulting in at least 10% decrease in exertion. Many of these strategies, accompanied by changing the quality of feed, are actually simple and feasible for even the low-income farmers. Improving livestock's diet and in turn methane emissions include providing up to 25% more clover in the grazing land, increasing the amount of plant-derived fat in diet from edible oils or oilseeds such as sunflower seeds, flaxseed, or ground canola, measuring the daily feed of intakes of the cows, and providing proper portions of grass based on population. In addition, providing high-quality silages and giving easy access to all food. These approaches focus on the insurance of the cow's health and welfare and are therefore more realistic for a humble farming community. The white clover is a naturally growing clover in the Himachal Pradesh, a state of northern India. Backs and Shills of the Research Station for Cattle, Sheep, and Horse Husbandry in the Netherlands conducted a study of the effects on animals from white clover. They state, quote, "White clover has a higher nutritive value than grass, due largely to its lower structural fiber and higher protein content. These characteristics give white clover improved digestion and higher intake capabilities." End quote. Since the white clover naturally thrives on its own within the country, it can be easily harvested and distributed. It is unclear as to the reasoning behind why farmers have not already invested in the clover, but it is possible that it is the lack of understanding of the potential of the clover for livestock. If education on the clover can be circulated amongst the farming communities as well as to larger agricultural operations, the improvement to livestock and methane emissions can be tremendous. In methane emissions, the United States ranks number 4, while Brazil ranks number 5. In both countries, growing and distributing clover has extreme, if not more, potential than it does in India. Growing and distributing clover in the United States and Brazil is economically feasible and culturally acceptable. A simple improvement in the world's livestock diet can make a significant difference in the amount of methane released, and therefore in climate change.
America. Bannock County is located in southeastern Idaho. Desertification of Bannock County is becoming more realistic as record high temperatures are met. Fires become more frequent, water is projected scarce, and soil becomes less fertile. Bannock County was formed in 1893, made up of 1,147 miles, and as of today is home to 83,691 people. Bannock County bases its income from agricultural products. 60% of agricultural product profit is from crops. The major crops in Bannock County are alfalfa, barley, potatoes, and wheat. The county receives its water from the Snake River aquifer. This aquifer provides irrigation water to over 900 farms in Bannock County. The farms that provide a large portion of the state and nation's food are also a growing problem for desertification. Farmers are overwatering their crops to make up for water evaporation, and even trying to cool plants on hot days. The two most used forms of irrigation in Bannock County are furrow and sprinkler. These forms of irrigation use the most water in early stages of plant growth, but most of the water is evaporated and does not help the plant. These everyday farm uses of water are a big reason why desertification is becoming a noticeable problem. When irrigation water is not used efficiently, the soil has an increased amount of fertilization, which can lead to salinity. Southern Idaho is naturally hot and windy. Wind erosion increases with crop productivity, losing the layer of fertile soil. In an attempt to mitigate desertification of Bannock County, I feel that Idaho as a Republican state is more likely to slowly integrate the subsurface drip irrigation system into small farming and slowly into larger farming. Farmers, the Shoshone-Bannock tribes, BLM, and the community would be in favor of the soil water saturation sensors that would also go along with this irrigation system. These sensors would be wired to the irrigation system, signaling them to turn on when the soil moisture is low. While these systems may be expensive for some, they will definitely save water. Farmers can also receive aid through the government by receiving subsidies. Brazil and India are not very likely to use either of these because of the overall expenses of installation and repairs that come with both of these systems.